Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, John Cena, and today we're going to be doing a clan versus clan 2v2 battle. I'm going to be the blue Confederate player, and my ally, Dr. Kaffu, is going to be the green Confederate player. Just a side note before we get into details of this battle, Dr. Kaffu has his own Art of War 3 channel, so go ahead and make sure to check that out. So let's get into the battle. We're going to be facing off against two resistance players from British SAS, which is a top 100 ranked clan, so this should be an interesting battle that we've got lined up. We're just working on base development right now, getting those early game resources and developing our infrastructure so that we can have effective deployment later on. And we can see here that some riflemen have entered the back of my base there. They're going to get a scout onto my base. Meanwhile, we can see Dr. Kaffu trying to get some early game map control, but it's going to get pushed back by the yellow resistance player. So we can see right now I'm teching up to HQ3, and I'm just continuing to put down infrastructure. I've got a Delta out to collect some resources, but it looks like the red player is also getting a Cayman out to also get some resources on the water. So my original plan for this battle was to go for an aviation build with Vertex and have Dr. Kaffu focus on going for the ground army. However, I see some ground troops there from the red player, and I'm a little bit suspicious of a possible rush. So I'm instead going to produce some ground troops to support my defense and security. You can see my Delta got cleaned up there by the Caymans and the torpedo platforms. So I don't have a clean scout yet onto the red player or the yellow player. So again, we don't have a scout on either resistance player. We have no idea what they're up to, but we need to get a scout on them. So I'm going to send my Cyclone over. We can see there's troops there from the resistance player on the red side. And we're going to go ahead and skip over those troops. We don't want to engage. We want to get a scout. So let's see what the red player is up to. And we can see red is teching up right now. We can see red was already HQ3 and is in the process of going for HQ4. So we can see there's a good amount of infrastructure there. So red knows what they are doing in terms of base development and gameplay. So we see a porcupine coming in to be used as a scout from the yellow player. Dr. Kaffu tells me to go scout the yellow player out, so I'm going to send another Cyclone. I'm going to clean up a rifleman in the trees there on the way. Meanwhile, Dr. Kaffu is in full production mode, making Zeus tanks and torrents. So my Cyclone's coming in now. Let's see what yellow's up to. And we see the yellow player is already HQ4 and is in production of a ground army. So we see double assault vehicle factories, a level 3 special vehicle factory, and a level 1 special vehicle factory. So we're anticipating a JCP army build here. So I'm going to change my build here. I'm not going to go for aviation anymore. I'm actually going to go for a hammer fire assault mix instead. I send my Vertex again to scout the map, and we can see there's a JCP army moving across the map from the yellow player. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my Vertex back here. I've only got a handful of units so far of hammers and fire assaults, but we can see I've got triple assault vehicle factory and triple barracks at this time. So it's going to allow me to build my army pretty quickly at this point. I've got 4 Vertex as well, 2 Avia factories, but again, I'm transitioning away from a mass Avia build. Here comes a JCP army launching its first attack onto Dr. Kaffu. Dr. Kaffu's got some walls down for defense and is going to deploy those torrents to dish out some good damage against the JCP army. It looks like Dr. Kaffu's ground army is going to have to move around the walls to get access to the ground army. Meanwhile, those Jaguars are now firing onto a torpedo platform and a naval shipyard. Fog is going to activate again. We can see some Coyotes coming in from the red player. I'm going to go ahead and send my Vertex over. We're going to see if we can snipe a couple of units here just to help out Dr. Kaffu. Those porcupines are dishing out some damage against my Vertex. But again, looks like this JCP army is going to retreat. You see a couple armadillos in the mix there to reinforce from the yellow player, but it's not going to be enough. Look at this, we've got an alligator and 4 caimans coming in from the red player. I'd actually anticipated this move from the red player, and so that's why I chose to put most of my infrastructure away from the water. I'm actually going to now move in my hammer fire assault army in to take out this gator, and I've got a couple Vertex in the mix to help out. But again, I don't want to overcommit on the resources to take out the gators. The gators are not able to reach my headquarters, and that's probably the most important part about this map setup. So a couple infantry again, getting dragged in by the gunfire. Meanwhile, a torpedo platform from Dr. Kaffu is going to clean up those Caymans. My units are getting cleaned up there by the ships, and we've got more JCP action from the yellow player. Yellow is taking out these units that Dr. Kaffu is trying to put together. But again, yellow's not quite able to break Dr. Kaffu's defensive line at this time. I'm going to go ahead now and move my hammer fire assault army towards Dr. Kaffu to help out. So here we go now. Troops moving across the battlefield. Let's see what kind of damage we can do. Dr. Kaffu flags my base and tells me to defend it. I'm in the process of making ground troops to defend my side, so it should be okay. The walls get taken down for the yellow player, but here comes my fire assault and hammer army. And I'm going to throw on a red common attack boost here. And look at how my army just absolutely shreds the JCP army. And now suddenly the tides have turned very quickly for the yellow player. And yellow is now on the run from my hammer fire assault army. They were not prepared for this push. Looks like another JCP army is moving in to reinforce. I could potentially take this JCP army myself. I've got a gold scout boost there to increase the speed of my hammers, but instead I'm actually going to rally with Dr. Kaffu. We're going to group together to combine our forces and then attack. So we see some infantry coming in from the red player, and here comes an army from the red player. We see some jaguars and grenadiers moving in. I've got my hammers and fire assaults, and we're going to be able to push back those units, those jaguars deploying into siege mode in an attempt to take out my units. I'm going to go ahead and pull my units back though. Again, my power with my army comes from the mobility. I want to keep my army moving as I dish out damage. You can see a jaguar cleaned up by my army. Now here comes Red's army. Red's got a lot of jaguars, grenadiers, porcupines, chameleon, and armadillo moving in. This is a full-on attack here. I'm going to send my vertex in to help out. Let's see what kind of damage the red player can do. My units are dishing out tons of damage against this red player. Red's army is just getting absolutely demolished. Meanwhile, we're launching a counterattack onto the yellow player's base. And we can see that this JCP army from the red player is getting cleaned up. This is no problem at all for me. Meanwhile, my hammer fire assault army here is getting cleaned up by yellow, but yellow is taking some heavy casualties. I'm not concerned at all about my losses at this point because Dr. Kaffu has an entire ground army to punch through with. He's got Zeus, Torrents, and Typhoons, and this is a very heavy force, and the yellow player is in trouble now. They do not have the ground forces to push back Dr. Kaffu. So Dr. Kaffu is going to be able to just dish out some good damage against the yellow player. Yellow desperately trying to produce grenadiers and tanks to defend, but it's not going to be enough. Here comes a Barracuda launching some missiles at the torpedo platform. I've got 2 vertex left. I'm going to go ahead and send those over to clean up the Barracudas. And we're going to dish out some good damage against those submarines. At this point, we're not concerned at all about yellow. Yellow has lost their HQ, and they are not looking good right now at all. Again, these points from Dr. Kaffu just dishing out tons of damage. We have these units, and yellow has nothing to defend with whatsoever. And we're just going to be able to slowly but surely clean up these factories. So we're going to go ahead and speed up the video here a little bit. And we can see that red is self-destructing. Red knows it's pretty much good game at this point. And initially we thought that this was going to be the end. Both of them were going to self-destruct. So we're going to fast forward here a little bit. It's just us kind of destroying the base, or I should say Dr. Kaffu. We're going to use a little bit of time to kind of work on contracts. You can see one last jaguar there getting cleaned up by Dr. Kaffu's army. Look at this though. We got one last chameleon army with jaguars moving in onto my base here. And I've got pretty much an entire ground army at my base though. I'm not concerned about this JCP army at all. It's kind of entertaining actually. I'm just going to move my hammers and fire assaults into the fog here. Where this red player knows that they cannot take on my army. And So I'm actually going to push them into the corner, and then I'm going to just pull my units back, and we're just going to wait right here. I can just let the Chameleon army come to me. They have no way to reinforce. They're cut off at this point, and my forces are well upgraded. It's going to be no problem at all. Let's go ahead and take care of this JCP army, and we're going to finish them off, no problem. Alright, that's the battle, pretty much. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will see you in the next battle.